where to start. I am really excited to share today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rachel Amber. You could also call me Ray. And I just want to share more about the project I've been working on, really been sitting with for the past 5 or more years in the back of my mind, different versions of it, but it's finally coming to form. You might have heard of the Embodied Ecosystems Tarot or Oracle. It's kind of a combination of both, and I've been sharing little peeks of it. You may have seen the logo, or at least the temporary logo, and there's just so much bubbling around this. I've been forming and channeling it. It's such a precious and long love process. For each of the 80 cards, I have sat and meditated, worked with my guides and the spirit of the earth and the land and the elements, and allowed whatever wanted to come through. And so it's been a very special process. And I have all the sketches now, all the court cards, all the minor arcana, and all the major arcana. So there's a lot coming together. I've been working on the final images, and I'm excited to share more of that soon. Before I jump into what's coming that's like most closely accessible, since this is a long process, and I'm hoping to have it out next year, but we'll see. Been working on it every day, but like all things in nature, I'm trying not to rush it. It takes its time. So as I'm working on the cards, I'm also working with writings and prompts and practices alongside each card, because I want this to not just be a visual aid, but also a resource, like a practical resource to help you embody your own ecosystem and the one we all share. So, the deck structure, of course, reflects the elements, like the traditional tarot structure or card deck structure, but it also expands upon that through language and interconnected imagery of human and more than human life forms. So all that being said, I have a lot more to share, but that's just a little intro. And I've been craving for better ways to share more in depth, more behind the scenes in an intimate way with those who are interested. And Instagram, social media just doesn't cut it. I can share some things on there and it's received, but it doesn't feel like the space where it can be interacted with in the way it's meant to. That's a very rapid space, overwhelm, and it's a good place to practice, these embodiment practices, but I want to share it in a space that feels a bit more intentional and is hopefully more accessible to just access these bits and pieces before the whole thing is actually out and published. So, in honor of being present with the process of creation, despite my excitement, despite my eagerness and readiness for this to just be out in the world and serve its purpose, it feels so urgent in our ever-changing world where tragedies are happening every day and there's so much injustice and pain that we're facing and trying to reconcile, heal, and face, work with, and create a better, restructured world for all. But it all takes time, right? We need to do so sustainably, or else we fall into the same cycles. And same with creativity. It's a process. It's not a product. It has an important role in all these movements, but I'm honoring the time it takes. And but through that, I also want to honor the power of bits and pieces at a time, rather than all at once, or perfectionism, which is a false concept. So creating these practices and connections, not just things or products, I want to honor that. And so I'm offering and asking for support through this process. And I want to do that in a way that feels really good for all parties and that feels reciprocal. And I've been sitting with this for a while, and I've gone back and forth with what feels exciting but feels like too much to be sustainable, or would be taking away more from this process and my presence with it, and the opposite of like what's just me, you know, churning through this without the support I need to sustain my life as an artist and honor the long process that this is. And so I finally found what feels like a happy in between of what is sustainable and doable for me, and I feel can be really supportive and nourishing and inspiring, hopefully, for anyone who wants to be involved in this way. So I'm really excited to share the messages, medicine, and support of this ecosystem of visual tools, practices, and everything else involved with this. I want to call it a tool, but it's really more than that. This project, this offering. And, you know, especially before it's published and produced and finalized, I think seeing some of the rawness is where a lot of the medicine is. And I intend to like keep that intact with the final product as well. But for those of you who are interested in being part of the process, seeing more behind the scenes and receiving that ahead of time, I'm creating an intentional space on Patreon, an intimate community where we can connect. You can ask me questions. I'm going to share more behind the scenes of my work process, my studio, the art in all its stages. But what I'm most excited for, all that's very exciting, but something tangible that you will receive each week if you're a part of this is a card of the week. And so how this works, for example, is I've been doing this for myself, and so it's been really nourishing for me, so I'm just excited to like extend this invitation. So I use one of my many card decks, which is one of my favorite things to like, you know, support other artists in their decks and then gain inspiration, just see the myriad of ways that cards can come forth. And that, well, I had it at the top on purpose, but this is the card that also really just wanted me to talk about, which is the Page of Pentacles. In this deck, it's the Prince of Pentacles, it's the Celestial Tarot. And so each week I will pull a card with the intention of it supporting this community of people who connect to this mission and want to be present in this like honoring of self and our personal embodied needs and nervous system regulation throughout this ever-changing, chaotic world, so that we can show up more presently for the movements and actions and responses that are needed. And so, you know, each week I will pull a card from this deck, as I've been doing, and this signals to me the card that I can find in the deck I'm working on. And so the Page of Pentacles in the Embodied Ecosystems deck is the vessel of stability. And so it's represented by the embodiment of a seed, underground, deep in the soil. And along with, of course, the sketch, my intention is to show you, amongst all the things I've been working on, I'll share a lot more, but to show you the piece in progress. Sometimes it's going to be a finished piece or almost finished, and showing you at whatever stage it is, maybe the versions of it, so that you can receive the visual support, but then also sharing with you the language and practices that accompany this cards. And so I'll give you each week an affirmation to sit with, some prompts to reflect on in your own way or time, and also a practice, an embodiment practice that will accompany this card, such as for this, like what boundaries might help you protect your space that you need so that you can show up better to your work or the world. And there will be like sometimes a meditation practice, sometimes just a somatic practice, and I'm going to play with the forms this might take, like written or recorded. And ultimately my goal is to make this I don't want to say small, but like a tangible, doable size of an offering for a weekly thing, but also for it to be impactful and practical and supportive. And you can take what you will from it. You can just do the prompts, or you can just sit with the message. And the best part is this doesn't expire after a week. You know, you can use these anytime the card comes up for you, anytime you just feel drawn to it. So it really doesn't expire, but each week, if you like that method and you're in the community, this will be for you amongst everyone else. So I know personally when I've been in spaces where a community card is pulled, I've doubted, how can this be for everyone? But when this container is set with this intention of why we're all here, with some similar goal or intention or shared interest and ideal, I feel like that creates the right message to come through for everyone. And then, of course, the individuality and uniqueness of each of us will take it in our own way, in our own perspective, and integrate that into our own lives. So it's really magical, and I'm just so excited to facilitate this for my first time. So along with all that, you know, I mentioned other behind-the-scenes looks, footage, and an intimate space, Q&As, polls, and also discounts to my existing offerings of merchandise, and you'll definitely get special treatment, early bird access to any future things such as the deck if you're a patron. So in attempts to make this as accessible as possible, you can join for as little as $4 a month, or it breaks down to $1 a week, $1 per card offering and practice. And it's a sliding scale, so like that is the lowest end, and you're welcome to join at that level. There's no pressure. I just want this to be accessible, not an obstacle to you. And the sliding scale goes anywhere between $1 to $5 a week or $4 to $20 a month. But again, join at whatever level feels accessible to you. I just want to have the space for whoever wants to be there, and yeah, I'm really excited to open this up and experience the ecosystem that this is going to form within all the myriads and layers of ecology, deep ecology that's all around us. So in honor of all the themes that have led to this space, this practice, this offering of, yeah, all who have the lineage of deep ecology, of engaged Buddhist philosophy and tradition, earth-based lineages, indigenous wisdom, spiritual and societal sciences, human and non-human anatomy and interaction, interrelation, interdependence. There's so much more, somatics, embodiment, mindfulness, like it's all coming together in this space of interconnection, and I am just, it feels like a culmination of everything I've been studying, everything I love and feel passionate about, and also, I won't say everything, but like an aspect of what I feel we need in our modern world to help us heal and be present for all the change that we are experiencing personally, collectively, communally. So thank you so much for being here and listening. I hope that this meets you well, however it's received, and I really hope to see you in the Patreon space if it resonates with you and is doable. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and yeah, thanks for being with me. Be well.